Billikens fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. And of course, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Pete, we are heading into the summer. It is spring. It is outside weather, and I can't think of a better snack to have really any time of the year, but especially as the spring season comes along. We've got Cinco de Mayo coming up. I mean, it's all there. You need to include Two Men in a Garden for your springtime, your Cinco de Mayo, whatever your reason for getting outside and having snacks outside. Two Men in a Garden is great. They are the St. Louis Salsa and Pickle Company, bringing you everything from mild to screaming hot salsas. They've got hot mango and sugar-free, and they've got pickles. Pickles are a great springtime summer favorite. They've got classic dill, smoky barbecue, and a couple other flavors. Visit them online at twomeningarden.com. Shop those flavors and learn more about Kitchen Hub STL. Follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. Pete, I've been out of pocket this weekend, and I really don't have. I mean, the good obviously is the Billikens have added a portal commitment. Bad. I mean, baseball's been going through it. Softball though, on I think a 5-game winning streak now.
Yep.
But the what are we doing here of the week? I don't even know where to begin with this. But the NCAA is toying with a possible rule change, and I don't know. Toying might be like downplaying the level of which they are looking at this. They are very seriously considering a rule that could cause complete chaos.
That's the word. Chaos is the word that no matter who you're talking to about it or hearing from, it seems like everybody is including that word of the potential fallout, depending on how this is implemented. But we'll get into it in a minute, Zach. And chaos indeed. I don't know how this is going to go.
Pete, I really need Jordan Goodwin to come back into this in these playoffs and save Phoenix. I was down in Nashville for the half marathon or the marathon. I'm sorry, this weekend, and I did see a Phoenix Suns jersey in the mix, and I made sure to go up to him and tell him. I asked him, "Are you a Suns fan?" I said, "We really like." Of course, I didn't want to assume, but I was like, we love Jordan Goodwin, and we've enjoyed him in the playoffs with you guys. So
it
was a bonding moment.
Good. I like that.
Pete, let's go around the A10 and who it's presented by.
Yeah, Zach, and that's Two Men in a Garden, our sponsor, which this week, if you go to their Instagram at the number 2 men's salsa, they posted 2 days ago. It's giveaway time. We're giving away one of these awesome t-shirts to a lucky winner. Like this post, share this post, comment pickled, and we will draw the winner on Wednesday, April 29th. So get over to Two Men Salsa, or I think it's on their Facebook page too, if you want to look at their Facebook page, and get one of these t-shirts. It's I Got Pickled at the Palooza. It's that annual Pickle Palooza event. I gotta say, I've got one of these in green from a couple years ago, and whenever I wear it, which I actually did this week around the house a bit, it's my kids' favorite thing. They cannot see this shirt and not comment. They love it. And yours will too. Go to Two Men Salsa. Follow them on social media is the bottom line of this read here, Zach. Follow them. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, at Two Men Salsa. Get over there, follow them, and join in all the fun.
It feels like the perfect shirt to cut the sleeves off and wear at the river if you're a typical Midwestern dad.
That's right. If you've got one of these shirts on, you almost certainly have a koozie in one of your hands.
Yes, you do. Let's talk about the transfer portal as it pertains to the Atlantic 10. Davidson is gaining Nick Janowski, a transfer from St. Thomas.
Yeah, he's really good
Um,
actually. He's a perfect Davidson get.
Dayton added Grant Randall, so they have Anthony Grant and Grant Randall. I think I'm worried he'll play favorites. But he's from Quinnipiac. They added Landon Dunk Joseph, who we were recruiting, Pete.
Yeah, who
How
we had
dare they?
allegedly reached out to, but yeah, he ends up at Dayton. I don't think
Wait,
we were
allegedly?
allegedly. I don't think we were serious about that one, but nonetheless, I don't like seeing Dayton get anyone.
Um, Seamus McDermott's a late entry into the portal for Duquesne, as well as an entry is Yoav Berman out of Queens. There will be two Israelis at least in the
Yeah, and
A10.
and he's an interesting one, Zach. I think
He is Hasidic.
is he that one? Because I think they
Yes.
or was that guy out of high school?
Oh,
Um,
you're shoot.
is which one is
Oh, the Hasidic one's out of high school.
Orthodox? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they got this guy who is Israeli, right? Like you just said, and then they got another guy out of high school he's not listed here, but
I don't think he's Israeli. He's an American.
he's American, but he's Orthodox, so he will not play on the Sabbath, which means there are going to be games every season that he won't play in.
Oh my.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Which is it? Do I have it right? Is it sundown Friday to sundown, or wait, what's the timing of it? Sundown Saturday. So like, would a Saturday night game be okay?
Uh, gotcha. Pete,
I I,
I'm
I
gonna.
should know about that.
We should just move on. I think.
We
Uh,
probably should.
John. I thought they said John Lajoie. From the league.
From the league, yeah,
John
Taco.
LeBoy. John
Yes.
LeBoy the second.
Yeah, yeah, from
It's
Miami. He's
it's
he's going to Fordham.
LeBoy.
It's a funny name.
Yes, it
But
is.
he's going to Fordham along with Amir Lindsay from Albany, who's a good player.
George Mason is gaining Mackay Valentine out of Northern Illinois. George Washington has added Ryder Frost, decent name, out of Notre Dame, and then Andrija Vukovic out of Oklahoma State. Uh, LaSalle is losing Damon Strand, but adding Devin Booker, not that Devin Booker. By the way, it was a Devin Booker jersey that I saw at the race. Um,
Oh,
LaSalle's
okay.
game, yeah,
Yeah.
Devin Booker, who is at George Mason or was at George Mason. Jamison Lynham out of Arcadia, not Arcadia Valley, Missouri. By the way, great country club, Arcadia Valley. It is
Sure.
it is not. Pete, why don't you talk about the rest of the league?
Yeah, Loyola got Malik Diallo out of TCU and Elias Rapik out of Kansas State. A couple of big 12ers. Rhode Island had a late entry outgoing in Mifta Ibiyemi, who didn't really do much this season, so you probably don't recognize his name anyway. Incoming, they've got Dylan Williamson from Towson and Matas Deniusas from UT Martin.
Hmm.
Richmond had a Jalen Robinson was a lead entry, and he is headed to Sacred Heart. Already has his destination picked out. But they've got Jack McCaffrey coming in from Butler, Dominic Stewart from Penn State, and Darren Saran from UC Irvine. And then VCU is the only other one who had some activity this week. They got Niall Ralph Byer out of Sacred Heart. So multiple Sacred Heart
Yeah,
entries, exits this
you,
week, which is unusual.
you don't see that very often.
You don't.
Let's talk. Let's talk a little baseball, Pete. The Diamond Billikens. By the way, you know how like New Zealand are the All Blacks.
Yeah,
If they had a baseball team, they should be the Diamond Blacks.
that's good. I like
I
that.
know, I know. I had that thought this weekend when there was New Zealand talk on the Discord. I had to share it. On Friday, Pete, Miles Miller had the interim tag removed. To be honest, I didn't know he was the interim.
Mm.
I thought he was the
Oh, you already did. Okay. Yeah.
I
Do,
yeah, I
so what do you think about the timing of this then? So he's named officially the head coach. I mean, um, they're as you kind of hinted at before, they're kind of in the thick of the season and they're right now on the outside looking in. So interesting timing or what do you think?
I don't. I mean, I think this, like I said, like to me, he was always going to be the next coach.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think they have any interest in running a search.
sure.
If look, if you get rid of your coach in any way, shape, or form at the time that they did, it, it it's not important. They're not gonna go have a search and whatever.
Yeah,
Um they're not. So like nothing's I mean, I thought he was the head coach. So the timing it surprised me that this happened at all. I guess is the answer to the question.
yeah,
But like I don't I don't think there's any reason to judge him for this season, just the way there's no reason to judge Herf on her seasons.
right.
Um, Obviously, not negatively, right? I think absolutely you can take all the positives in the world, but I think a lot of the negativity can be excused. So,
Hmm.
like this season, like I really haven't watched much of the baseball team because it's just not great. I've been a couple times out there, but like I just don't have any expectations. I just kind of want this dumbass season to end.
Yeah.
um I mean, it's just I don't know, like I don't know, I don't know. What do you think, Pete? You I
Yeah, I
give
mean,
my opinion all the time.
it is kind of funny timing, but I guess probably it has things to do with like the recruiting calendar, right? And being able to go out there and say, yes, I'm going to be around for the foreseeable future and not with an interim tag. So it probably has more to do with that than anything that's happening on or off the field within the program this season. Is my take on it. And I don't think he's given them any reason why they shouldn't kind of keep him around and see how he does. So, you know,
I
I
mean,
guess we'll see
it's
how it
obviously
goes.
not a priority. Like,
Yeah.
it's anything you get out of this program is whatever.
Yeah, which is a shame because this program was and we'll get into it soon. The conference tournament only goes to the top half of teams every year. There's 12 teams and only 6 make it. And
Yeah.
SLU was pretty consistently not just making that, but advancing and occasionally winning. So that's something you would hate to lose. But if he's well liked, if he can kind of keep things going, and I know this season's been a tough one, but look, I'm rooting for him. I have no reason not to.
Yeah. Um, this week, tough week. They started off with an 8-6 loss at Western Illinois on Wednesday, the 22nd. They were down 8-4, and they had a late inning rally that fell just short. Crew Bond led the Billikens with 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and the Bills' 6 runs came from 6 different players. They followed it up with a loss in their opening game against Rhode Island on Friday the 24th, 12-2. Billikens got out to the 2-0 lead after 2, but things went downhill from there. Rhode Island hit 4 home runs, and SLU had 4 total hits. Pete, talk about the last 2 games of the series.
Yeah, the game two on Saturday, the 25th, 11-7 was the win for the Bills. Great team effort, with all 9 players in the starting lineup scoring at least 1 run, 7 of them getting hits, 6 of them getting RBIs. Riley Giffrig had the game's only home run, a solo shot, and Hank Omrick had 3 RBIs to lead the Bills. But the rubber match, unfortunately, Zach, in 12 innings, went to Rhode Island. It was a 7-5 loss today on Sunday the 26th. It was 5-5 after 6 innings and stayed there all the way until the top of the 12th until Rhode Island hit a 2-run double. Crew Bond went 3 of 5 with 2 runs. Gomrick was 3 of 7 with an RBI, and Ifrig went 1 of 3 for 2 RBIs. Next up, they host Missouri State for a game on Tuesday, the 28th, and then head to VCU for a 3-game weekend series. And like we said before, Zach, with 9 conference games to play, SLU is currently in 10th place at 8-13. So they're not mathematically eliminated yet, but they need to win a lot in these last three series in order to make the conference tournament, which again is just the top six teams. The three teams they currently have left are all pretty tough ones too. VCU, Richmond, and Fordham. They're all currently tied in the 3 to 5 range, third to fifth place at 12-9. So SLU's going to have to not just win these series, but they're probably going to have to win. I don't know, when you look above them, they're going to have to take probably 2 out of 3 in all three of these to be in the mix. Not impossible. It would help if you get a sweep in this first one, but it's a tall order for this team. So it's going to be an interesting finish.
Let's head on over to the softball field, and we're going to talk about a 7-6 win against Lindenwood on Wednesday. The Billikens actually had 7-2 win or 7-2 lead heading into the seventh, and Lindenwood made it a lot closer than it needed to be with 4 more runs in that inning. The Bills did hold on. The Billiken runs were scored by 7 different players. Kate Profit led the team with 3 hits. 3 of the Bills' runs came on throwing errors. They only had 4 RBIs, which is kind of odd. The Saturday game at Bonna was canceled, but they followed up with 2 games on Sunday, starting off with a 10-2 win in 5 at Bonaventure. The Billikens got out to a 5-0 lead in the first inning, and it was 10-0 in the fourth. The Bonnies got 2 runs back. Bella Stevens went 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs. Anna Christ had 3 RBIs in 2 plate appearances. Isabel Royal was good in this one for the win. And they rounded out the series with a 4-2 win on Sunday the 26th. Final A10 game. The Billikens were down 2-0 for most of this one. They finally broke through in the 6th inning to tie it. Carson Janney hit a solo shot, and Anna Christ hit an RBI double to give them a 4-2 lead in the 7th. Pete, this one, this was a nail biter.
I had it on this afternoon while I was kind of updating some of the notes, Zach, and I'm so glad Janney got that home run because she was up with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 5th. It got him all the way to a full count too, and struck out. It was pretty heartbreaking. She had a chance to tie or blow that game open right there. So for her to come back and have a chance to hit the game, essentially the game-winning run in the 7th is huge. I'm glad it swung that way. They needed this win too, by the way.
Yeah, they needed it because they had actually not clinched a spot in the A10 tournament until the win today. They won't know their seed until after next weekend. However, most teams still have one more conference series. Our schedule includes the bye at the end. A 13-10 record. The Billikens currently sit in second place behind Loyola, which clinched the 1 seed. St. Joe's, Fordham, Dayton, and GW have 11 wins apiece. George Mason is currently 7th at 10 and 11. The 2 to 6 seeds are all up for grabs here. Rhode Island and St. Bonaventure are mathematically eliminated from the tournament, which again is in St. Louis. And I still want to know about the press box situation.
I'm going to be interested to see what they come up with, Zach. I have no idea.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't have any energy for it. Like I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Next up, they'll take on Belmont. They'll kind of finagle a last minute weekend series in place of an A10 series. And let's talk about tennis, Pete. The Billikens competed in the A10 championships. It didn't go wonderfully.
No, it went all right for the women. They came into Orlando as the 7th seed and then won 4-0 against 10 seed St. Joe's on Wednesday, the 22nd. So after winning the doubles point, SLU got singles wins from Emerson White, Fiorella Duran, and Naima Luthra, while the other 3 matches went unfinished. So just a butt kicking there. But then the tables turned when they faced 2 seed VCU, who's always really good in tennis. Lost 4-0 on Thursday, the 23rd. 8-11 is their final record for the season, a 2-win improvement over last season. On the men's side, Zach, they entered Orlando as the 8th seed, and then lost 4-1 to 9 seed Davidson on Wednesday. SLU's only win was by Sasha L- I can't,
Mm.
Lefebvre. I don't really know his last name at number two singles.
I
He,
mean, yeah.
I want to say Lefebvre because I knew a few guys who had that name. Like I went to school with one, but it's different. It's spelled differently. Anyways, the men finished the season with a record of 6-13. It's actually an improvement from 2-14 last season. But they had a lot of people graduate, so it's going to be interesting to see the shape of that program moving forward. Zach, luckily though, track and field had a really good weekend up in Iowa.
Yeah, always a fun weekend at the Drake Relays, no matter how well the Billikens do. Um, it was April 22nd through the 25th. The women's forward by 100 ran a season best 48-16. Maddie Roald set a new school record in the javelin with a throw of 47.27. Quincy Hubert, Kate Hartley, Nora Kiley, and Ella Coppinger combined to run a school record time of 1 minute 80 1 minute, and I don't know how to say that. That's very difficult.
Yeah, that is funny. Well, 1 minute and 81 hundredths of a second, basically.
Thank you. They did that in the shuttle hurdle relay, which I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not like track and field guy. Um,
Which is
anyway,
funny for someone who just ran a half marathon, but okay.
that's true. That's true. Different sport. Sam Lamaz ran 47:32 to place sixth in the 400 meters. In the men's 4x200, they finished third, setting a school record with a time of 1:25.70. They fell another school record in the men's 4x400 relay. Carson Amstutz, Luke Ruck, Sam Lamaz, and Will Stewart. They ran a 3:11.94 over at the Kip Janvern Open in Indianola, Iowa, wherever the hell that is. Simpsons College is apparently there. April 23rd to the 24th, Kate Hartley ran a huge PR in the 400-meter hurdles with a time of 61:65. Griffin Moore PR'd in the hammer, throwing 39:09. Jane Hollow had a PR in the 100 meters at 12:69. Next up, they'll head to the A10 championships in Fairfax, Virginia, May 2nd and 3rd. I think we expect them to do well there.
Yeah, they had a really good season. I mean, we've constantly been reporting PRs, and it seems like they keep getting better and better. So I'm hoping for a good showing this year, Zach, relative to
I
years past.
I don't think John Bell gets enough credit for what he does with that track and field program. There is very much not. I mean, it is not a it's not a cushy job. It's not an exciting job. And he runs that program top to bottom.
It might be more administrative work than any other program either. Like just like the logistics of everything they do, traveling with a track and field team with that
Traveling with the
equipment,
javelin,
organizing those events, yeah, traveling with the pole vaults,
pole vault. Yeah.
yeah, organizing all of those events and like keeping track of what everyone's doing around the place. I mean, it's just like it's a lot of moving pieces. I would be so overwhelmed every weekend, and he's got absolutely the right demeanor to do something like that.
That's gonna do it for us this week. Pete, roll Bills.
Roll Bills.
Pete, I don't think we should wait any longer. Actually, I think we need to talk about this, and that is the quote 5-5 rule.
Yeah.
Pete, why don't you give just a brief overview of what that 5-5 rule would look like?
Yeah, to keep it as simple as possible, basically this is saying you have 5 years to complete 5 years of eligibility for NCAA sports. So that would start either after high school graduation, or it would be, or the clock would start at age 19. The idea being it's really complex right now. People are entering college late. You're getting these European freshmen who are like 23 years old. They can be anywhere basically from 17 to 24 is I think the range that I've seen on international prospects coming in. You just never really know. And this also prevents like the guys who go to the pros and kind of kick around for a few years, either in the G League or internationally, and then try and get back into college, right? Like we've seen some of that this season. So I think what this says is even if we cannot legally prohibit guys like that from coming in, players in general, coming into college sports that way, we can at least limit their eligibility, right? So if they're coming back at the age of 22, that 5 year clock has started, right? And so they can't do a full 4 years from there. So I think there's a lot of reasons to do this. It kind of simplifies like the red shirt thing as well. So a lot of people seem positive about it, Zach. And I don't know if you feel the same way.
I like the idea.
Hmm.
It's just that, like with everything else that it seems to be going on a national level, it seems to be poorly or rushed or poorly put together or half thought out or it just seems like, okay, we're going to implement this. Are we implementing it immediately? Everybody's talking about this being immediately. That makes no sense to me. Like would they be so dumb? And again, this is the NCAA we're talking about here, to not like try to figure out a grandfathering situation.
So that's the big issue is the timing of this because it's something that really didn't come up until very recently. And the problem is you just had a bunch of guys graduate, a bunch of players graduate from all of their sports, right? So if they were players who did 4 years in 4 years of eligibility in the last 4 years, like Robbie Avila, like Dion Brown, these are the guys that could potentially have a claim for a fifth year. Now, players who have already been around for 5 or 6 years and graduated, I think they're done. They couldn't be grandfathered in. But that's hundreds of people potentially in men's college basketball alone, Division One, that all of a sudden could be back in play. And according to Trilly Donovan,
Well, by the way, I am fully on board with the theory that like this is not the same Trilly Donovan. This is a
yeah, I'm with
different.
that too.
I don't
Yeah.
know in what capacity that looks like, but there's something's not right with Trilly D.
But I do think there is a fair point that all of a sudden commitments have really slowed down in the last few days, and it's because the NCAA is meeting on Monday to go over this potential rule. And so this meeting on Monday, today, as you're listening, if you listen right when this drops, this could be one of the factors that has kind of slowed things down. We've still seen some commitments, but not really nearly as much as we had seen before. And if guys like Dion Brown and Robbie Avila are all of a sudden back in play, that changes things, not just for SLU, but for every school. And it sucks either way because you've now recruited players, you've gotten commitments from players. In a lot of cases, you've signed players based on the promise of playing time on the roster you thought you would have, right? And if these guys are back in play, even if they just want to come right back to the school they graduated from, that gets really complicated for a lot of reasons. Like because you've already made promises to everybody else, the people you've recruited, not to mention the people who are returning on your team, they thought they were going to go pro or they were going to do something else or whatever their plans were going to be. It just throws everything into complete chaos, to circle back to that word. So the two options, Zach, are to say, yes, they're included and everything will be just bonkers in the next couple months, or to say, no, they're not included. They're not grandfathered in. This is just for players starting this fall, right? In the fall of 2026 and all, well, I guess I should say anyone who's in school or entering school, it now applies going forward. And that would be a lot cleaner and it would be a lot easier, but you can be sure there will be lawyers of players who just graduated who would challenge that.
I think my thing is like, could you do a situation where like you take every player in the NCAA right now and say, if you have not had a transfer, if you have a clean kind of path, you have 5 years. Your clock has already started. Whereas like if somebody has had a red shirt or their clock would, I don't know. I don't know. This is, dear Lord, please let these people that are in charge grandfather this in, or else, or else we aren't going to get any sort of vacation from this pseudo hobby we have here.
No, we're not. We're not. And they would have to do something like roster expansions. I mean, there are teams who are already loaded up at 15, right? And all of a sudden, if other teams are able to go grab guys who just graduated, I mean, it's just I don't know. This seems to, it could potentially reward the teams who just haven't done anything yet in the portal, which is odd. So it creates a really fraught situation on just about every level. So I kind of, as much as I love Dion Brown and Robbie Avila, as much as I would love for them to come back, I just want everybody to sort of be able to move on who just graduated and let's move forward. And this would be yet another way in which high school recruits are just getting screwed. I mean, again and again, like they had the COVID bonus year, and now they've had all of these other, they've really been sidelined to portal recruiting, and now it's like they won't even have spots. And so I'm just like, we just got to move on, figure it out, and let's move on.
It's outrageous. Just how, I mean, is this just the normal, like, are we just going to see major litigation from here on out until eventually college sports has been lawyered into the ground? Am I
Yeah, I mean,
now how long that takes, I don't know. Are we going to see some sort of level off of stupidity and craziness?
yeah, so I think the inevitability here is I think we need to see some sort of like actual legislation, right? Like some real legislation, because this actually I want to say this or something like this was one of the proposals in an executive order, because I know there have been a few executive orders lately about college sports. I think something like this was in one of them.
This was exactly what it was.
Yeah, but the problem is it's still unenforceable. I mean, like the executive order is just someone's will on a piece of paper. It's not like a
it's
like
an order to work on something. It is putting a project up for it's like putting a contract up for bid on something you want to get done, and then one of the people in the legislative branch pick that idea up and try to
and run with it. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that
was one of the more intelligent things I've ever said. Holy shit, what happened? I blacked out.
So at least that will is there from at least the executive branch right now, which is you would think a signal to the legislative branch, like this is what we want. And if it's coming from the NCAA, that's two different directions. Now, whether that actually leads to legislation, I just don't know. But I fingers crossed. Like whatever the simplest outcome is, Zach, is what I'm rooting for. What's the cleanest thing to happen that doesn't just crowd college sports any further than it needs to be? Because now it's so many. There's so many more 20-somethings that have kind of been stuffed in. People who have been floating around, you would have thought graduated years ago, people coming from overseas. It's just, I think it's just crowding out a lot of people who normally would have had opportunities in other years. And that's what's kind of bumming me out about the whole situation. And not to mention, I would just want more clarity, and simplicity moving forward is what I advocate for.
Yeah, I just, it's frustrating. It is really frustrating.
Yeah.
But business continues, and we got to talk about incoming and outgoing transfers. And let's start with the outgoing, the bad news first, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Wait, what I do?
I do want to like Shirts' take on it, Zach, on the 5-year rule. Just before we close that out, it sounds like he is ready to proceed with the rule and move on, to not have guys who graduated come back. Yeah. He said, to me, you deal with rules as they are and put together as good a roster as you possibly can in the current environment. That means not holding on to spots or money, waiting on a rule that may or may not come next month. So the question was about whether he would hold spots for Avila and Brown or Otieno to come back. I guess Otieno couldn't actually because he did a JUCO year. So that's why I'm only using Brown and Avila. So anyway, it sounds like he's ready to move on as well.
Yeah, I think, you have this, there's a moment in time here. There's a window for which you can get into the portal while all of these other schools are kind of grinding to a halt, waiting this out. Get
Hmm.
in on some of these guys who have, maybe committed already verbally.
Right.
Get as many of these top centers and get talking to them. Get these play like say we're not going to wait. We're not going to make it. We're going to make our decision now. Our guys aren't coming back. We want you here.
Right.
We will sign you right now.
Yeah.
The other teams are waiting. They're stalling. We're ready to go.
That's right.
I
Yeah, I
think
think it's
that's
a
the attitude that needs to be taken.
that's right. It's a strong pitch. Yeah, we're moving on. We're not sitting around waiting for guys to come back. I think it's the right message.
Um, Speaking of guys not coming back, Pete, Brady Dunlap is going to Georgia. Like, I mean, I know there is a connection there with his father,
Hmm.
at least to the state. But like Georgia, I mean, if Slew absolutely dog walks Georgia, and then Dunlap says, "Yeah, that seems like a really good situation."
Yeah, that's so I just I don't know how I feel about it all, Zach, is what it comes down to. Like, yeah, I know there's a connection, but the fact, like you said, we just dog walk them. It's weird, right? To like the last team we beat in the season is the one that he ends up
Yeah.
at, and the team we beat so emphatically, the team where I think he scored 11, which would have made him their third leading scorer on the night, right? Because they had one guy go off and one guy I think scored 13, and no one else did anything. So I could see from George's perspective why he'd be attractive, but that's pretty weird that he ends up there. But I feel bad for UC Santa Barbara because he did publicly commit there, and then clearly something happened and he flipped to Georgia, which I think is kind of a bummer. But yeah,
Hey,
his
hey,
dad.
hey, hey! This is big time basketball landscape,
There's
Pete.
no more tampering.
This is big time. You gotta live with the how life is. What was the? I don't even remember what that tweet was.
Yeah, the
But
the
whatever.
the connection, just to be clear, his dad, Jeff, is a longtime basketball coach, Brady's dad, right? So his career included a stint at Georgia UGA from 1999 to 2003, and so Brady was born there before they moved out to Southern California. I don't think he actually remembers it, but it's pretty interesting to end up there. And I know his dad's excited about that. He obviously has a connection to the place. But it is a bummer for those gauchos of UC Santa Barbara who we said last week he was going to tear it up for them, right? So that's kind of a shame. He skipped that step and went right back to the power conference school.
Um, yeah, man. Like I don't know, dude. What would you at 20 years old? What are you doing? Are you going to Santa Barbara for the weather, or are you going to Georgia for the women?
I don't think Santa Barbara is known for not having
That's
attractive
true.
ladies either.
That's true. I mean,
Por qué no los dos, Zach?
yeah.
Look, these are both lovely places to go for a lot of reasons, and I'm sure our guy Brady Dunlap will do just fine at either institution. You know, he's
I
gonna
have no
he's gonna
doubt.
succeed. He's gonna succeed. But yeah, it's just weird that here we are a week
It
later
is eyebrow
reporting.
Raising
It is a bit eyebrow
at a
raising.
cartoonish level.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He won't get to wear his big hat, that he wore in the winter in St. Louis.
So, Pete, like I said, I've been out of pocket, and
Hmm.
truthfully, I didn't know this happened on Saturday, and I didn't even get to. I literally to this moment, I didn't know that. Uh, um, I didn't know. I didn't see any video on this guy,
Hmm.
but we got a commitment on Saturday. Uh, and I thought it was a younger guy. This is an older guy.
Yeah,
This is an
yeah,
older player. Pete,
that's right.
and he's got some SEC experience.
He does, Zach, and it's Elijah Strong who committed to SLU this weekend. He is a 6'8", 250-pound junior from South Carolina. He's originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, and then played 2 seasons at Boston College, his freshman and sophomore year, and then one at South Carolina. So that means he played alongside Deion Brown at Boston College. He
That's so
averaged,
funny.
I know, he averaged 9.6 points a game, 4.1 rebounds. Brown averaged 7.5 and 3.9. Just to put into perspective their contributions there. As a junior, though, at South Carolina, he averaged just over 17 minutes a game, scored 10 points, averaged 2.3 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.2 blocks, 0.4 steals, and 2.2 fouls. So a little foul happy there, but he shot 44.4% from the field, 278 from three, 759 from the free throw line, which is great. He did attempt 3 3-pointers per game, which kind of surprised me. Like you just don't think a guy with his sort of build and physicality is going to be chucking it from there, which means he was 54.4% on 2-pointers. And when you break that down further, 57.7% at the rim and over 50%, 50.5 from mid range. Both of those are pretty good, even though he's going to be coached out of those mid-range jumpers, when he gets to
Maybe.
Suicide.
I mean, is it a specialty shot? So I watched the tape on this guy,
Yeah.
and I I certainly see what the coaches see.
Hmm.
It's very obvious. The guy likes to cut. The guy knows when to cut, and I think there is a basis for a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
I think if he works at it, I think and gets easier shots, I think he absolutely can be a better 3-point shooter. It's a pretty shot. I think his a little bit of the mid range is part of his post game. Like
Yeah.
I think it's all a part of like I think that might be one of those quote unquote specialty shots.
Yeah, so he's interesting because like in some of the videos, so physically he's got those just big legs. He's got big
Yeah.
tree trunk legs. Like when I first looked at the video of him, um, I I did not I did not see 250, right? You see 6'8",
Right.
250, and you think like Jalen Haynes, remember him from George
Yes.
Mason?
How
Like
could I
you think like
forget Jay?
who's going to go to Dayton this year? He's a big, broad
Wait, is
body.
he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
Oh,
going to
I
Dayton.
forgot about that. That
And,
sucks. I don't
and
want to deal with
so
him.
so you look at him and you don't immediately go, "Oh, that's 250," right? Like he doesn't quite look like that. But then you look a little closer and he's just got a really solid, thick core and legs, like big, like strong bottom half frame, right? That's he gets the ball in the mid range, and there are some videos where he just kind of like wraps, one of his legs around the backside of his defender and kind of creates a little jump shot for himself, or he'll even back guys down all the way in from there.
Yeah.
It seems like he kind of likes to operate in a mid range, even if that jumper isn't the first thing he's looking for. But I think what's important is he's got a pretty good offensive skill set overall. Now he doesn't have a great defensive reputation, but I think 10 points in 17 minutes per game for an SEC team is pretty eye-opening at the other end, Zach. And I think that's where he's the more exciting fit here. So to quote a few of our buddies, Matt Rocchio, quote, massive get for the Billikens and Shirts' hybrid spot, 4/power forward. Thick body, hopefully can manage more than 2.3 boards, but this gives them a true double big lineup similar to last year's Avila Otieno pairing. Jack Godar says strong is a big body at 6'8", 250 who can really put the ball in the hoop. His defense and rebounding need some improvement, but he brings heft to a Billiken front line and an interesting offensive weapon for Josh Shirts. I would say, Zach, I really like the offensive bag here, right? Like I want more efficiency from three, obviously, if that's something that he's going to be shooting. But
Yeah.
he's good at the rim. He's got that really strong trunk, those huge legs that don't, he doesn't really look 250, but he's got it, right? He doesn't shy from contact. Honestly, he kind of plays like he prefers contact. Like he's not a really quick guy. He's not super uh, like a bursty
Robbie-ish. Robbie
athletic.
had that. Robbie had that. Robbie did like contact when he was initiating it.
Sure, yeah, yeah. So they have that thing where it's like, I know I'm not going to be quicker to the rim than you, So I've built my game around contact, around like pump fakes and finishing with both hands and being kind of like unpredictable. So he's got a scoring mentality one way or the other. He hits his free throws at a really high rate, which
That's
you
big.
always
That's
love to see
huge.
in a big. Yeah, 76% for a big man. You love that. So yeah, obviously areas of concern, rebounding, defense, the aforementioned 3-point percentage. But otherwise, I think this makes sense, especially when you look at the potential offensive pairings in our front court. I know we still have some spots to fill, but I'm already kind of excitedly looking at how you could line this pair up and this pair up and stuff like that. So I think he brings a lot to us that way, Zach.
Yeah, I certainly see why the team wants him and the staff wants him. And I'm curious because I was out of pocket. What was the reaction like online? Because I still haven't even gone and read.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through
Yeah.
5 pages of notes on Billikens.com, and I'm not gonna go all the way back on Discord. So what's the skinny?
So Billikens.com a lot more positive, I would say. Mixed but more positive. Discord mixed but leaning more negative, right? Like
Mm.
I think people just kind of wanted. I think like the next one in their mind that they were picturing was probably somebody who was a big rebounder and shot blocker, and he's not really either of those things. Instead, we got ourselves like kind of a more traditional power forward build, who's more of a scorer, and it's just I just don't think it's the profile that for whatever reason that group was ready for next. And I get it, but I would say like number one, we're not done, and number two, like this staff thrives on finding guys who just need to play in their system and may have not been properly used at the place they were before. I guess it's worth mentioning, yes, South Carolina is an SEC program, and that's one of the two biggest, best conferences anymore, but they were terrible. They were one of the worst teams in the SEC, right? And it just kind of a mess this year. So it's really hard to say like that his gifts, that his talents were really being maximized there. And so you hope to you put him in our system and maybe he thrives a little bit more. And honestly, 17.1 points or minutes per game, if he does that at SLU as well, I mean I think that's a pretty good goal for this position.
What are the concerns about defense? Has anyone talked more about that?
I think some people have said he just doesn't like maybe it's an effort thing, maybe it's a system thing, but he's just never looked particularly great at that end. Which is kind of like his physicality to me is somebody you can just kind of like I don't know, he moves well enough to where I feel like he could keep up with guys who are kind of inside outside fours or stretch bigs, and then he's got more arm length than you would think, right? Like the way he's kind of built otherwise, his arms look a little bit longer than they should be. And to me, that should make him a little bit better vertical defender. So I do wonder in the A10, guys are a little bit smaller, guys are a little bit less athletic than in the SEC. I would like to think some of those defensive concerns are things that you can polish up in this conference and get going in our system and certainly not be facing quite the level of, like future NBA level competition that he was facing a lot of nights in that league.
Pete, I would like to take a moment as we enter into our next segment to remind folks that SLU beat UConn for Gibson Jimerson's services on his final year.
That is a really good point.
With that being said,
Yeah.
the Billikens got a visit from Oscar. Is it Gilte or Gilte?
It's a guilty. I'm not really 100. I didn't get to learn it before
Yeah.
before we lost it.
Well, we hardly knew ye, Oscar.
Guilty as charged, Zach.
Zing.
I need to hang up after
See
that.
yourself out. 6'10", 6'10", 235 center from Stanford. He committed to UConn on Friday, just a couple of days after leaving SLU. I
Yep.
feel dirty and used, and I don't like it. Um, but there has, however, been some rumors heating up. And It involves a couple of local products.
Yeah. Yeah, and the first one, Zach, is the one that where the rumors have really taken off, and I'm comfortable saying it here because they've been mentioned publicly. But Marquette fans seem to think that Sheik Pearson, the 6'11", 200-pound forward who committed to them and redshirted this season out of John Burroughs High School in St. Louis and Brad Beal Elite, they think he's going to
Yeah.
SLU, and they're accusing SLU of tampering and all of that. So he was a late portal entry. And SLU has reportedly got the inside track on him. Now, nothing has been made official yet as we speak. Sunday night at 9:23 Eastern here. But Zach, there's a lot to like here about Sheik Pearson, even though he sat this year out for Marquette, right? He was a top 50 recruit in the class of 2026 before reclassifying and going there earlier. So I think he's a really intriguing high level prospect, even if he's not proven at the college level yet.
Yeah, I like this. Sheik Pearson, no matter what, again, local kid, anytime you can get a top 50 kid that's local, I think you go for it and take that opportunity. I think it's a good opportunity for the Billikens to I think youth in the front court is where you're going to find value. I think the older big men that are out there are
Yeah.
going to command much more, and I think there's opportunity with a guy like Pearson or
Hmm.
a guy that we're going to talk about next. But I like it. You become even more athletic as a team. I mean, imagine Kellen Thames and Sheik Pearson on the floor together.
Yeah.
It's like an NBA Jam team or it just I would that would be a lot of fun.
It would. I'm going to paraphrase my friend Joe from a text chain this week. Shout out Joe. He got to watch Pearson a little bit and said this. Pearson was raw and skinny in high school, in AAU, but he has really unique length. Like it pops immediately when you see him on screen. It seemed like college physicality is going to be a problem for him, so the red shirt was not a surprise, especially given the fact that he reclassified. He probably would have benefited from not reclassifying and leaving high school early, maybe one more year and then a red shirt. That's, 2 years of developing instead of one. He is certainly a high major talent with standout length, but just needs to get stronger and tougher. But he can rebound, he can contest shots early in his career as he sort of figures the rest out. He has a really narrow frame, so you kind of wonder how much he really can develop it and how much, weight and muscle he can add. So how he builds his game out is actually really a big deal. He's not really a stretch shooter at this point, and he has kind of a limited offensive bag. He didn't really need to be a true post player either at Burroughs or Brad Beal Elite, given his teammates. So he kind of has this mid-range game that he seems to be the most comfortable working out of. He moves very, very well. He's got a high ceiling, a super high ceiling. If he can add more to his game offensively, either as a stretch shooter or as a true post presence or both, while he's also developing physically, I mean, he's got a sky high potential, Zach, and that's what really makes him exciting for SLU, right? Is we didn't see him at Marquette yet, but what he could be in the long term is super exciting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the conversation about leaving high school early or not, where yes, if he stays in high school, he plays games, he gets that game intensity, that development. Whereas he goes to college, now he's getting practice. He's only he doesn't get the game intensity and the game development, but he does get to practice day in and day out against Big East bodies and
Mhm.
Big East talent. So it is an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than one way to do it, and certainly, the red shirt made sense either way. But look, I hope the rumors are right. I hope the rumors are right. They were so intense late last week that I thought we may have even had a commitment by now, Zach. And so I was excited to talk about him for that reason. But there hasn't been anything. So maybe we've got the inside track. Maybe now he's taking a bigger look around, which would be not great, but we'll find out either way pretty soon. Hopefully this week, Zach.
And I mentioned that we had another player, another story, and that's Jamison White, JMO White. He decommitted from Penn State, which immediately threw up a lot of our alarms
Yeah,
as far as with things, how things are kind of going. It's weird. You get these sort of vibes
yeah.
about just the things you hear here there and the things you hear there, and then you see he decommitted from Penn. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah, it is. And, Penn State obviously struggling a bit in the Big Ten, but, he had said in interviews that that wasn't a problem and he was excited to go there and for the opportunity and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't know what changed. I don't know how any of this stuff works. What I do know is
18-year-olds, man.
yeah, right. I mean, it's a crazy market out there. So, nothing surprises you anymore. But he's 6'8", right? Like, so he's a forward who SLU recruited out of high school. He went to East St. Louis for his senior year and played for Brad Beal Elite in AAU, and that's where he really blew up. Was last spring and summer in AAU. Brad Beal Elite won 2 Peach Jam titles in a row. In that second one, he really established himself. I think he actually in that event was the top 3-point shooter in the thing. And at the time, he was 6'6" or 6'7", and that wasn't really a part of his game that everybody was aware of yet. It's something that he had worked on and built out, and that's when he kind of went from like kind of a tweener, maybe the right Power Four program would take a flyer on him to like a sure thing Power Conference recruit, right? He was in high school. He actually went to Chaminade before he was at East St. Louis. So 2-time Missouri State runner-up at Chaminade, but won a state title with Eastside this season. He's the son of Jahadi White, as Jahidi White, as a lot of people may know him, who played at Georgetown and then 9 years in the NBA.
That's still the funniest, stupidest story I've ever
It's
heard in my
so
life.
strange. It's so strange. But I think the key word here, Zach, is versatility, right? Like he was always
Yes.
more of a small forward, and his brother, Jahadi Jr., was like the big power forward. He was a couple inches taller. They're not twins. There is a little bit of an age gap. And so Jahadi is the bigger one, more big, stronger frame, right? So they had kind of an inside out duo, right? But now he's grown to 6'8", and he still has a lot of that sort of perimeter game that he had as like a three, like a wing, but in a much longer frame. And his shooting, like I said before, set him apart in AAU. So he's got that inside out game. Big time dunker, really aggressive defender, blocks shots, jumps passing lanes. He's an excellent rebounder, double machine for East St. Louis this year. So he's a really exciting player. I think the only thing that's a little bit surprising in terms of SLU's involvement is he's just not like on paper what they said they were looking for right now. But I think if there's a player this good that you've got kind of an inside track on,
Yeah.
or a potential inside track on, I guess I should say, I think you go for it. He's just too talented to pass up.
Yeah. Again, top local rebound defending.
Yes.
I just think I think that's a huge addition to. I think Josh Schertz's defense is underrated, Pete.
It is, yeah, and we'll get into that,
Um,
Zach, when in our season recap. But I agree completely.
so that's why I'm not necessarily worried about defense like Elijah Strong. Obviously, if that he's been on some bad teams,
Hmm.
bad defenses. So like we looked at those forward teams with Jimerson,
Yeah,
and Jimerson, people would be like, Jimerson's a terrible defender. I'm like, he's not good, but he's fine. And
yeah,
then he gets into that year with shirts in, and it was you could see his defense coming along
hmm,
and being a little bit better. That defense wasn't awesome, but it was better, and you could tell that Jimerson was having a much easier time in that system.
yeah.
Um, Anyway, yeah, I don't know what to really. It's weird to like how quickly the rumor mill kicks up, especially
Right.
with these two. But let's talk about a couple of other guys, not necessarily local. The first one we're going to talk about, and forgive me if I mispronounce this name, Yak Yak
Yeah, maybe Yak Yak. It's
Yak Yak.
each one of them is YAAK.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a 6'11", 230-pound center from Oregon State. Average 6.6 points there, 2.2 rebounds, and zero point 0.5 blocks in about 15 minutes a game. Not the best three-point shooter, but very good from the free throw line and shot over 50% from the field. He started out at New Mexico State.
That's the opposite of Bull Bull,
That's right. Bulb.
or not Bull Bull. Who's the John Bull?
Yes.
Yes, thank
Yeah, yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So he went to D2 Colorado Mesa for sophomore year and then went to Oregon State for his junior season. So he's from the NBA Global Academy in Australia. Other schools that are kind of in the mix right now: Indiana, Louisville, USC, Memphis, San Francisco, UAB, Akron, Wyoming, Siena, and Cal State Northridge. So quite a mix, and I would bet the second half of those are kind of the more realistic targets for him.
How about again, dude? We got to get all of these guys because it will absolutely ruin Guy Phillips's life.
Yes, it will.
Um, Izan Lemieux,
Sure, let's go with that. Um,
International Youth Mixtapes, which
yes,
sounds terrible. No, but that thing should be called International Youth Mixtapes, please.
I know
That makes me uncomfortable.
wherever they're based, I'm sure the translation is less creepy. But they said 7'1" giant Izan Lemieux has been dominating the Swiss top division this season and projects as one of the best bigs in the 2026 international class. The 2004 born Frenchman is averaging an absurd 14 points per game and 13 rebounds per game in Switzerland, while also adding nearly 2 stocks per game, which is steals plus blocks combined. So serviceable defender, I could guess, but yeah, certainly a good rebounder. And he's 7'1", so you gotta love that, right?
Everybody needs to have a Frenchman on the front line here, I
Hmm.
guess. That's kind of what I'm getting in the A10. Um, David Aquera. We're looking at a lot of Aussies lately.
Yeah,
When did this happen?
I don't know, because we don't have Chris Harriman or anybody still on the staff, but he's a 24-year-old Australian, so I don't know what year he would be if he came over to the U.S. But he plays pro for his hometown Perth Wildcats. He's a little over 6'10" and 200 pounds. Doesn't put up big numbers in the top flight of NBL. Just averages about 5'3" and 1, but he's torn it up every time he goes down to the second tier, Zach, and he's kind of bounced up and down. But we have good
I,
experience with guys from Perth, don't we?
yeah, it feels like it's weird that he would graduate, or if we went 5 and 5 years, he would be the same age I started this podcast, or not started, but like he'd be like 30,
Yes,
29.
right. It's
What
crazy.
in God's name are
I
we
know.
doing here?
Yeah, I don't know how that would affect his eligibility, but he scans to me as someone who like shouldn't be a college prospect. But what do I know? I don't think we should be taking in 24-year-olds as certainly as freshmen.
Not maybe not. This was a name that was talked a lot about in Discord, and I don't know where it came from, and I don't know anything about him. This guy's aloof. Chris Loof.
Yeah, yeah, he's a 6'11", 240-pound center from Middle Tennessee. I think it's the red hair, Zach. He's got like red hair and a goatee, curly red hair, and I think he just sort of kind of became a meme for that reason on the Billikens Discord. He averaged 7.3 points, 6.3 rebounds, 1.2 blocks, zero point 0.8 assists, 3.4 fouls per game in 24.8 minutes a game. So decent numbers for Middle Tennessee. He'll step out and shoot a three-pointer or two per game. Doesn't really hit it consistently. He's pretty efficient from two, though, 62.2% from the line as well, which is a little below average, but not terrible for a big man. Started every game this season. I think he's just one of those guys who looks like a so-so big, and in this market, those so-so bigs are called millionaires. So,
Yeah,
good,
it'd be
good for
like that.
good for Chris Loof. I don't think the Discord fans would be thrilled with that one, but we are one of the names that was mentioned in the has contacted him or whatever.
Kawani Garris Jr., a 6'5", 200-pound freshman from Cal State Fullerton, the Titans.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I really have no idea, man. These are all just random people at this point.
Totally. Yeah, and I don't know how serious any of these names are, but we're just running out the fly ball on these. He averaged 8.2 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, under one assist in 16 minutes at Fullerton. I don't know, it doesn't really jump out to you. 49% from the field. He's a good three-point shooter though, about an average free throw shooter. So I like the size and shooting plus, some rebounding from the guard position. I think he's one of these guys you hope is as a freshman is just kind of on the way up, right? And that
I
he
mean,
he would be more productive next year.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe maybe it's that got that dog in him tight.
Right. Yeah,
You
and I
know,
mean he's just not as much of a distributor as I would want like if we're going to
right.
go get a guard. But you like the size, you like the shooting.
Let's update the folks on a couple of names that we've talked about in the last few days or few weeks, I guess. Owen Freeman committed to Auburn on Monday, as expected. Colby Garland committed to Georgia Tech on Tuesday. Luke Wilson, not that Luke Wilson, committed to Syracuse on Tuesday. Jalen Reese committed to Texas A&M on Wednesday. On Friday, Chol Machat committed to Georgetown. Jeremiah Johnson, since the last update, he's listed quite a few schools that have reached out. Haven't seen anything on visits or favorites. Christian Jones, the GW transfer. Things have been quiet, Pete. This one is one of those that had Billiken fans, ears perked up.
Yeah, and I've been looking for news, for updates and on him, and there's just really not anything that has come up since then. So it's been kind of weird. I thought we would have news one way or the other on him by now. And of course, there was like this guy, Christian Jones from San Diego State, who was maybe involved in the draft in the NFL the other night. So that's kind of like another reason why it's hard to find any information on
maybe
someone with a
maybe the
common name.
maybe the people with all these insane first names for children are onto something, and they're
Easily,
setting them up for search. This is search engine optimization for baby
that's
names.
it's like band names that you can't say but look like passwords. That yeah, it's search engine. It's all about the SEO, Zach, which is, I guess, good for these guys if they're trying to get famous. Bad if they're trying to avoid being found.
KJ Perry visited Utah. Our guy Craig Gilbert. Speaking of search engine optimization,
Mhm.
Craig with a K.
Yeah,
It's been silent. I want this guy.
yeah. Apparently, Maryland is in the mix. Not all that far from West Virginia, where he's from. Who knows? Maybe.
Ring Malith apparently needs a waiver to play another season. So I mean, why? Again, who
Yeah,
who cares?
right.
Um, Pete, let's talk about Jay Good, man.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I put him in the notes, last week, going like, all right, he's going to have an NBA playoff series. We're going to have a lot to talk about. But unfortunately, Zach, in the series against the Thunder, we just have not really seen him. He started game one, but only played 5 minutes, went 1 for 4 from the field for 2 points, and then strained his calf. And he's been out ever since. Suns are down 3 games to none. They lost 119-84 in game one. He also missed game two, which was 120-107, listed as day to day. But he also didn't play in game three, which they lost 121-109. So unless they do the unthinkable, come back, win the next 4 games. But look, with Jordan Goodwin on the bench, I don't know if that's going to happen.